So this is Danny Flexen here for Seconds Out. Delighted to be joined once again by Hall of Fame promoter Frank Warren. Frank, I only saw you 2 days ago, but you just keep making news. You must be pretty happy.
It's been a long time. We've been very, very busy, haven't we? As you know, very busy.
There's 85,000 tickets sold for Tyson Fury against Dillian Whyte in a matter of hours. Only a few remaining now, and looks like it's going to be a massive sellout.
They had 171,000 in the virtual queue on Ticketmaster, and over 250,000 people tried to buy tickets in 3 hours, and they sold 85,000, just over 85,000 in 3 hours. And we're applying now to the local authorities to see if we can get the capacity extended to 100,000 fans. We've got 5,000 coach tickets left for, the coaches. They're yet to be released. And there's a small number of Ticketmaster's Platinum tickets available online. But that's it, mate. It's gone.
Wow. 100,000 capacity, if the local authority agrees to it, would that be unprecedented in any sport?
No, I think you look at things like Silverstone, motor racing. I'm not sure.
Oh, no, but I mean at Wembley. Have Wembley done it before for
Wembley,
football?
Yeah.
Or...
I would think it's the highest grossing event that's ever taken place at Wembley. I can't think of anything else that's taken more money and certainly sold out as quickly. The Ticketmaster was saying that that Tyson sold 3 times faster than Coldplay did there.
Wow. Take that, Chris Martin.
I'm not told him that yet, but I will.
What, Tyson or Chris Martin?
Tyson.
Yeah. What do you think the key is to it? Why has it been such a huge ticket?
Look, I got faith in him, and he's been out of the country, as you know, for 4 years. He's had 3 tremendous title fights in the States, unbelievable fights that the fans all absolutely locked into and enjoyed. For me, I was constantly being asked, when is he coming back? I said that at the press conference, when we're going to see him again. And we made a decision for this fight to make sure that we won the purse bid, which we did. And we made a further decision at the end when we was getting zero cooperation from Dillian Whyte. What was this all about? It was about Tyson Fury's homecoming. It was about Tyson Fury. And I mean this with the greatest respect, he could be fighting any reasonable opponent. And I think we had the same turnout. It was about Tyson. So we decided at the end that smoking gun they kept holding to, pull the trigger because it don't mean anything. We feel Tyson's a big enough name and the fighter that the fans love to go ahead with a press conference with one person. And our belief in him turned out to be justified. And we, as I say, as I just mentioned, the tickets just flew out the door.
Have you had any further contact with Whyte's team since the press conference in regarding whether he's going to participate in any of the build-up?
Well, look, he signed a contract, a WBC contract. His representative, Jeff Bentz, insisted that was the contract, which we had no problem using. And there are obligations in there that he has to assist and help the promotion to promote the show and the fight and the WBC for that matter, because it's their belt. And up to now, he's done zero. I mean, he's done absolutely nothing. And I think all this is backfired on him in as much that it's the Tyson Fury show. That's what it is. Here's a guy that's involved now because of Tyson having the privilege of fighting Tyson. He's getting, was it $7.5 million with a possible upside if he wins of $4 million for the privilege of fighting Tyson Fury. The privilege of fighting Tyson Fury, there's a possibility if we get the extension to the capacity of 100,000 people there. He's involved in that fight. Should have been involved there, yes. All this he should have helped to happen. And all this crap that here, he's got his money, so why should he do anything? Well, if we're going to live in that world, am I going to have a tit for tat with another promoter? And at the end of the day, both the fighters can say, "Where do we need to come from? We're getting paid anyway. You put a burst bid in. We don't need to be at a press conference." So if we get into that area, and then you take it to the extreme, you're knackered. The journalists are all knackered because they've got no one to interview. So what do they need being employed for? They're not delivering any stories. It's just ridiculous. I mean, it's bad for our sport. I would never do it. It's unprofessional. I certainly would not do that. And all the nonsense that's been put out and spouted off by Hearn about Ryanair and all that, categorically, and if you want to see it, you want to come to my office, I will show you. We agreed to fly them in. No need to do this because we won a purse bid. You know, win a purse bid, there's no more negotiations. The purse bid is what it is. We agreed to just cut through all the bullshit. We'll fly them in. Fly them out the same day. He asked for his money to go in his escrow. We agreed to do that. He then said he wanted 50% of the inner ringside tickets and another seven figures added to his purse. And at that stage, my son, who was negotiating with him, George, I said, tell him to go and F himself, and we'll go with what we got, which is Tyson Fury. And that's what we've done. We know what the result is.
You said about Dillian failing to meet his contractual obligations in terms of promoting the fight. Is there any kind of penalty for that if he continues?
Yeah, we want to be reimbursed for that because he has an obligation. Absolutely. You know, look, contracts work both ways. Remember, this contract, and it annoys me when Hearn keeps banging on about we were negotiating the contract, we were doing this. He was doing nothing. He had nothing to do with it. WBC's contract that his lawyer approved of categorically stated either Dillian or a representative that he nominates deals with his affairs. He nominated Jeff Benz, not Eddie Hearn. We've had no discussions with Eddie Hearn about tickets, about flights, about anything. All he's continued to do is poke his nose in where it shouldn't be. He should be worrying about, instead of worrying about whether we can sell 90,000 tickets, which we've done, he should be worried about can he sell some subscribers for his app? Because old Len Blavnovic's certainly not going to keep funding that forever. So just get on with your business. Let us get on with our business. We know what we're doing. We're happy. Tyson's very, very happy. And I've got to tell you something, and Dillian Whyte should be happy, because if we hadn't made this bid, he would be getting 2 million less of his promoter.
Now, as you said, over 200,000 people tried to get tickets. Obviously, 85,000. Sorry, 250,000. What would your advice be to the fans out there who weren't fortunate enough to get them the first go round? What options are left for them?
Well, I mean, I can't. You know, what's gone's gone. You know, the Ticketmaster were at the official agents. They dealt with sales of the tickets. As I've mentioned to you, there is an application being made to the Brent local authorities regarding us extending the capacity by another 10,000. So those tickets will become available. But, you know, when you've got 250,000 people trying to buy tickets, you can't accommodate everybody unless they fight 3 days running.
It must be pretty encouraging for you, though, especially in terms of the pay-per-view sales, because you would assume that most people who were desperate enough to go and see it live and weren't successful will now buy it on BT box office.
Well, of course they will. I mean, this is a big event, and it's the most exciting heavyweight in the division. He's exciting, Tyson. You know, his three world title fights have been absolutely exciting, and styles make fights, and it'll be an exciting fight whilst it lasts with Whyte.
Now, I want to ask you about something you've raised before and something that concerns all sports and events fans, and that's the secondary ticket market, kind of bulk buying tickets and reselling them at several times their face value. Now, I know you don't control that, but is there a way in your mind that you feel that field can be controlled or curbed?
Well, we didn't start that market with the Stubhubs and Viagogos. I mean, you know, the sponsors of Matchroom Show was Stubhub, and they were supplying them with tickets. So they created that market, not us. Would I much rather us be making the money than the ticket tout making the money? That's a no-brainer, isn't it? What do I want to see that happen for? You know, the vast majority of the fans vast majority of the tickets went to the fans, and Ticketmaster's, you know, the smart technology they have ensured this happened. Of course, when you got, you know, the nature of the event means that there are going to be some disappointed fans. And some people do go on to the reselling market using these platforms, which I'm against. But I just say, don't buy them from the touts. The only reason there are touts is because there are people who have paid for the tickets, willing to pay over the odds. I'd prefer the empty seats.
Would you be in favour of government legislation around the secondary market?
Well, we lobbied for that quite a while ago.
I remember.
And, they said they were going to deal with it. And I don't know, it's sort of drifted on. There's all these things, though. They've drifted on. And, but, I'm not the sheriff of tickets. We put our tickets with a legitimate agent and Ticketmaster, and, they've sold them. And obviously there's a handling fee for that, which they obviously expect to get, but they were in control of selling the tickets, and they've done a fantastic job. It's just a shame this happens. They do get out there, but lumps of tickets have been in the past given to StubHub and so forth. I mean, you only got to look at the amount of tickets were on their sites for Anthony Joshua fights and so forth. I mean, big amounts of tickets. And so, and they were sponsoring the promoter.
Now, on Tuesday at the press conference, you predicted, I called it ballsy that you predicted a sellout. Well, that's going to happen. But you also predicted minimum 1.5 million buys on pay-per-view. I should have asked this at the time, but do you mean worldwide or do you mean just in the UK?
No, I mean in the UK. I think it's going to do exceptionally well in the UK. And the gauge you got for that is the non-cooperation of Whyte and the fact we sold out in 3 hours. I mean, that gives you a gauge to say there's a massive appetite to see Tyson's homecoming.
Perhaps you should be calling for him to keep not participating, stay away.
Yeah, keep him out of the way. And as far as Tyson's concerned, what is good for the fans, it's on the first bell will be 10 o'clock prime time.
Wow. We're going to hold you to that.
Yeah, it's what it'll be. I'm telling you, that's what it's going to be. So as far as everybody's concerned, it ticks all the boxes to achieve those numbers.
And have you guys, you and at BT, have you guys decided on a price point yet for the event?
No, they're still working on that. So
it could go above what we've seen in the past for heavyweight title fights, which with Joshua and Fury has generally been around £25.
I don't know what they charged. What did they charge for that day?
I think the last one was 25. I think the last Fury was 25. I think that's just become the accepted kind of mark for heavyweight title fights recently.
As I say, it's not set yet, but obviously we'll work that out in the next week or so.
What factors, I know you haven't decided on a price yet, but what factors go into deciding where to price it? Is it based on demand? Is it based on how well the tickets have gone, for example?
No, it's based upon the cost of the event. I mean, we've bid. It's a record bid, $41 million, and we got to get that back, and we want to make a profit. Because it was a gamble for us. It was a huge gamble, but I think it's going to pay off.
And we've seen how quick demand has gone. What do you think is the key? Because you're not going to get Tyson Fury against a British opponent every time out. What lessons can we learn from this for future events? What is it that sells?
I genuinely think in this particular time, Dan, I think it's the Tyson Fury show. I genuinely think you can be fighting anybody. I really do. Obviously a reasonable, decent fella who's coming
even
to fight.
Even if they were not British.
Yeah, but even if he weren't fighting someone from Britain, as long as it's a decent fight, so it's box office, Tyson. He's gone and captured the States. He's gone out there. He's been out there. He's fighting out there for 4 years, and he's built up a following there. And he's come back here, and he's got a massive homecoming now on the 23rd of April. I just feel now that I think he's one of those. He's now that sort of guy. When he fights, the demand will be huge. I mean, I've never experienced anything. Nearest I've got this when I brought Mike Tyson over many years ago, and we put him on, and we sold that out without announcing the opponent.
When you talk about it being the Tyson Fury show, how worried or concerned do you then become when he starts talking about retirement, as he did on Tuesday after this fight?
If he wants to retire, I will absolutely 100% support him. If that's how he feels, then fine. That's how he feels. You don't want people fighting if they don't want to fight. That's where you get hurt, and it's dangerous. If he loses the appetite and the enthusiasm, he's well set up, he's financially secure, then that's up to him.
So if we accept then that he and Joshua are stadium-filling fighters in the current scene, who's next? Once those guys do sail off into the sunset, whether it's after this fight or much later, who's ready to fill their shoes in terms of filling massive venues?
I think it will happen in time with our other two heavyweights. I think the juggernaut Joe Joyce, and I think Daniel Dubois. I think they're going to become, big names, huge names. We've just been stuck in a bit of a hiatus at the moment with Daniel because of this stuff going on with the WBA. I just wish they'd get on with putting this bloody purse bid out to put everybody out their misery. It's frustrating for us, certainly frustrating Daniel, he just wants to fight. He's a young man. And it's frustrating for Joe that he busted and broke his wrist, but he'll be out again in May. So these two guys, they've got to put in some really, sterling and solid performances. And they're both very much aware of what is going on, obviously, in the heavyweight division, how important it is that they look good, because they're well and truly in the mix being mandatory challengers. I don't know what's going to happen with Usyk now and AJ, whether that fight's going to take place or not. They've taken a lot, obviously, prior to the terrible situation in the Ukraine, they weren't exactly banging a drum about it. So now it looks like it's not going to happen for obvious reasons. That's all going to open up again. That situation is going to open up. So those two guys are in a good place, and they're going to be involved in mega fights. There's no doubt about it. And also, down the road, there's a great fight between the both of them, the rematch.
And finally, before I let you go, let's finish with an exclusive. I know you're a generous man. Give us 2 names that are definitely going to be on the undercard of Fury Whyte.
2 names that are going to be on that undercard. I'm being very honest here. Isaac Lowe.
Yeah.
And Tommy Fury.
I knew Tommy would be one of them. That's why I said 2.
But there you go. You've asked me for 2 names. I'll give you 2 names.
Feel like chucking in a third?
Isaac always fights on his undercards. You know that. He's his friend, right. And he looks after him.
Good stuff. All right.
And we're putting together a decent undercard. It'll be a decent undercard.
All right. We'll look forward to hearing about that. You have a fantastic weekend, Frank. You've earned it. And we'll catch up hopefully next week.
Cheers, my son. Look after yourself.